Hi, William here again. Thank you for joining me for this week's project video. Now this week I have put on the lathe here a piece of wet sycamore without really having any idea what I plan to do. Now whatever I do, I've got to at least get rid of the bark and get down to bare timber, so that's a pretty good place to start. Okay, having parted this off and remounted it, I'm now going to have a go at producing some beading on the top half of the hollow form. Now this beading tool I made from a spindle gouge in accordance with a video put up by Mike Walt. Now I've made 3 of these from second-hand spindle gouges I picked up from eBay, and they all work extremely well. You get no tear out at all with these tools. Okay, I'm just marking a transition band here in the centre. At this stage I don't really know what I'm going to use for transition, whether it's going to be gold or blue or another colour. Here I'm using my Sorby texturing tool to make a random pattern on the lower half. Now because the wood is very wet, it's going to be very difficult to clean this up until I've dried it. So I've done some beading on the top, I've added some texture on the bottom, and I've got a transition there between. I don't quite know what I'm going to do with that yet. So I've been humming and hawing about what colour to use. Now It really comes down to red with the gold highlights on the outside, green with gold with highlights on the outside, or blue. Now I've done a few pieces in blue and gold recently, so I'm going to do another one. Okay, that's the project then treated to a good dosing of Chestnut Royal Blue. Now I'm going to leave this to dry. I've never put spirit stain on wet wood before, so I'm not really sure what effect it's going to have, if any. I'm going to leave it for a little while, then I'm going to have to wrap it up in cling film and leave it overnight, because actually I've got other things to do. Yes, and then tomorrow I'll be looking at probably sanding it back, maybe adding a bit more colour, and then hollowing it out and finishing it. Okay, it's the next morning. I'm going to just remove the cling film from here. No splits, so that seems to work okay, and that's very dry. Okay, next stage then is to hollow this out, but first I'm going to drill a 35mm pilot hole using a Forstner bit. Okay, now to start off this hollowing, I'm going to use my Simon Hope 6mm mini hollowing system. I might even be able to get all the way to the bottom. I don't know, we'll see. Okay, having done as much as I can with the mini hollowing system, I've had to revert to its big brother to finish off the job. Okay, now I've done just about as much as I can with the hollower and the scraper. Before I go any further, I've really got to think about drying this piece, and I'm going to do it in the time-old fashion in the microwave. Okay, so when I measured the moisture content of this of the log yesterday, it was showing 28%, and the weight of this object now is 760 grams. Now, through a bit of basic maths, if I want to reduce this to 10% to finish it, I've got to reduce the weight down to 623 grams, which will give me approximately 10% moisture content. So I'm going to do that in the way that I've always done this successfully. That is a number of iterations of 40 watts at 40 seconds, resting for 2 minutes between each iteration, and then measuring the weight until it gets down to 623. Now, after about 30 or 40 iterations of this drying cycle, the weight isn't going down very much anymore, and the piece is also not getting so hot. So I'm wondering if it has in fact reached the target weight. In fact it has. It's 625 grams. Our target weight was 623, and therefore when I test it with the moisture meter in a minute, it should be showing around about 10%. Okay, so nice and dry. The moisture meter says between 6 and 8%, depends where you test it, which is lower than what I'd hoped for. It has warped a bit. It moved, of course. It was pretty inevitable, but that's not an issue because the outside is more or less complete. So what I'm going to do now is to just tidy up the inside, finish off that, decide what I'm going to do with the rim, probably try and put another bead on it and finish it off. Right, I'm just going to go and tidy up the opening of the rim. If I can do this without chipping a lump off, I think I can claim a miracle. Okay, now I've given that a few minutes to dry off, I'm going to apply some gold gilt to the beading. Okay then, so off camera, accidentally off camera, I completed the gold gilt cream on the base of the project. Finally now I've just got to put some sealant and some finish on the inside and basically then part it off. So over the top of the gilt I put some Hampshire sheen lacquer and inside as well, before finally parting it off with the aid of a live centre in my tailstock with a rubber ball to keep it steady. So there we have it then, the finished article. A blue and gold, another blue and gold pot thingy hollow form. Has it come out as I expected? Well, I didn't expect anything because I didn't know what I was doing, so no, I guess. Do I like it? Not at all, no, it's not firing my rockets whatsoever. I guess somebody out there will like it. For me, the most interesting aspect of this project was the fact that you can take a piece of green wood, in this case a piece of sycamore that's been cut down about 3 months, still showing 28% moisture, and finish it using a microwave in the same day. Anyway, from that aspect, at least for me, it was interesting. I hope you found it interesting too, and I hope to see you again next week.